jumped in here and I started sharing, but we're talking about peace. Peace. Everything about peace here. We're in a world today that is desperate for greater peace, more silence, and that's why I'm in my basement right now. It's a little bit of a change up. You guys get a little different scene, a little different setting for today's live video because I need a peace. I need a change in setting myself. And one of the things that Jacques Philippe talks about in the chapter today, chapter 2 of the second section, he talks about trusting in God's providence and the difficulty that lies in that, how hard it is to trust that God's going to provide. And I think that's where we run into a lot of trouble ourselves, and myself included, where we find ourselves just worrying about, where the money is going to come for this next home project, or where is the, my plans for retirement going to come from, or where, more life tragic things like, how am I going to make it through this diagnosis that I received, or this move, or like having another kid, all of these things come back to this question of like, will I be okay? Can I trust in God's providence? And then we start to run and run and run, try to figure out ourselves and be self-sufficient, but it doesn't work. Like, God's plan's always better than ours. And Jacques Philippe warns us, he's like, don't get me wrong, like, we should have plans. Like, we should have plans. We should use our intellect to anticipate, like, have a meal plan, or have like a game plan of like, I'm going to work and provide for my family in this way. But he's like, the spirit in which we do that matters a lot. If it comes from this place of like, I can do it myself, I can provide for myself, or I can only trust myself to actually take care of myself, that's when we lose our peace. Right? Because like, at the end of the day, as hard as we run, as good as we are, we meet our limits. But if we have this disposition of like trusting God's providence, really trusting that there is somebody out there taking care of me, then I can try my hardest and give the rest to him. Like, I forget what Pope it was. He like would get to the end of the day and he's like, all right, God, I did my part. It's your church. Take care of it. And he'd go to bed, right? We're talking about, the vicar of Christ here on earth, the Pope, who has tremendous pressure on his shoulders, but able to trust, abandon himself to the Lord, abandon his care to the Lord, because he trusts that God would see him through it. And like, that is such an important feature, important thing that we need to come back to. So I'm seeing the chat right now on Facebook. It's starting to populate a little bit. Go ahead and type in your comments below how you're doing today by using an emoji. I want to know how people are doing today. What is coming up for you? What is your feeling? And the funniest emoji wins. So go ahead and let me know in emojis below how you're doing today. And then the other thing that I want to ask is like, what are your questions about peace? So I've been going live for 30 days for those who are joining live just now to talk about this very important topic that gets missed in today's world. I think we just assume we should be at peace, or we assume that like Netflix or YouTube or social media will give us peace, but the reality is like, it's not cutting it. And why? Because there's something missing, like an interior disposition of our heart that's missing, and God's providence, trusting in the Lord, comes back to it. So what I was just sharing a little bit ago before people started joining live was this reality where we try to do it ourselves, but it's not enough. We run, and it's good to have plans, don't get me wrong, but those plans will inevitably fall apart. But can we trust that God will take care of us? And there's a lot of reasons we struggle to trust that. A lot of like different reasons, past memories, experiences that would say like, no, you should trust God. And like, they're probably legitimate voices that we're experiencing. But we have to slow down and see like, what's the truth? We have a Father who cares and loves for us. And that's important. It's important. And like, a lot of times that gets misconstrued with our experiences and pains and wounds that we've received along the way, which sucks, because it's like, we should all have that security. That's what we're built for. We're built for knowing that it's going to be okay, that Dad got this. And that's what allows us to have freedom, which leads to fruitfulness. So if you're joining now, just let me know how you're doing, what your questions are about peace. And it's been good going live, and I'm going to continue to go live for the next 20 days. So follow along, and I'll catch you guys again tomorrow. God bless.